Hi, I'm Mark Anthony Tierno, author of Maldine, Cybernon, and the Rest, and I'm here with another writing tip. Uh, Today's writing tip concerns elements of a great story. Now, many writers each has their particular strong points. There are some that are great at crafting outstanding plots, but are rather basic when it comes to the actual flow of words. There are others that can make characters come alive, but couldn't make a nail-biting plot if their lives depended on it. And then there's others that know how to craft, poetry from words, but but absolutely no substance attached to it. So to be a great writer, you need all three of these things: plot, characterization, and prose. The plot now is what everything's about. It's where the story's going. It's what keeps the reader interested and guessing. A story without a plot might as well be a reality show. But on the other hand, of course, characters are also are needed to move the plot along. Uh, I've heard, there's a debate in the writing community: is it plot driven or character driven? Like it should be either one. I'm a firm believer that it's both. You need if you don't have a plot, you don't have a story. But if you don't have good characterizations, then you don't have anybody to carry the plot along. An example of a movie I saw, which got all rave reviews for, just because of its director, but was complete phlegm. It had some great characterizations, but zero plot, and that was Gosford Park. It came out a number of years ago. 2.5 hours, I wanted to claw my eyeballs out because there was nothing happening. And the murder happened 90 minutes into it. But so you need plot and characterization. You can't just say mine is plot driven or character driven. You need both. And then of course, the characters, are what keep the reader personally invested in the plot. So the two work hand in hand. You need the characters to keep the plot moving and make it personal. Because the more personal you can make it to the reader, the more they pay attention to it. But you also need a plot for the characters to work with. And each character must be true to, the way it is you have that character mapped out. They must react to every situation the way a real person or that personality would. They must talk the way that a person of that sort talk. If they have an accent, try your best to put it there in the writing. Don't just say, he spoke with an Italian accent. Listen to somebody speaking with an Italian accent and then try to put that into words. And if you're running a spell checker, that'll be flagging it all the time, but that's what you got to do. But good characters can turn a good plot into a great story. And then there's the prose. If the wording is bland and uninteresting, then it doesn't matter, how good the other two are. It's like reading a dictionary. But if the words melt like butter in the mouth, if the prose is akin to the movements of poetry, then you can turn a good story into a great one. That's actually some of what I tried to attempt in my own novels when I was before I actually started the actual writing aspect of Maldine. I was going for what would be my style for the story. What style of prose what would I actually give it? Because I wanted it to have an alien atmosphere, sort of a medieval, magical, mystical quality to it. And so I was deciding on my prose. And I came up with the answer on what ended up being the opening line of chapter 1 that inspired my entire style. And even then, that well, for that style, that's for lack of a better name, it's what I call my "you are there" style, and I reserve it for moments in which I want to put a lens on what's happened, make it more so. Uh, I'll basically take out all the small words and turn it from a sentence into an event. Thus, my opening line in chapter 1 would read, distant crack of thunder, a pretender of events awaiting the eccentricities of mortals. Sounds a lot better than just the lightning streaked across the sky. And even then on that part of it, like I said, I reserve it for certain spots. The rest of the time, my chosen style of prose, because it's an alien world, gets rather descriptive after a certain fashion. The characters all speak in certain ways, and I'm real careful on the exact wording on some of them. So I picked out a style of prose that took what may have been a pretty good fantasy story and turned it into one that has people reading it over and over again. So a great story has all three of these elements. If you're strong on one but a bit weak on the other two, then it's time to do something about that. But there is actually one more element that no one can teach in any given writing course, and I believe all the grades have, and that's enthusiasm. Do you love your story? Do you get hives when you're away from the keyboard for too long? Are you actually celebrating, oh good, it's a Monday, that means I can start a new chapter? You know, most people hate, oh no, it's Monday, but if you're enthusiastic about something, you're going, oh good, the weekend's over with, I can get back to work. You know, does the thought of starting a new chapter have you breaking out in cartwheels? You know, or like me, you know, are you typing like about 7:30 in the morning to like at 6 o'clock at night, and instead of feeling, you know, exhausted or whatever, you actually feel refreshed, you know, and just the energy in you, then yes, that's that extra something you need, you know, that enthusiasm, because that's how you can pull off miracles. I'll average between 12 and 13,000 words a day on a good a book of mine. I've pushed it to well over 15,000 words in one session. And ask other writers, there are some of them that will take a month on the first 5,000 words. And the difference is, you know, in part, enthusiasm. I can't teach that. It's hard enough to teach imagination. But if it feels more like what you're doing is drudgery, that it doesn't feel like you're out there playing and having fun, but it feels more like a regular 9 to 5 grind in the salt mines, then I'll tell you now, you might as well give it up and find a job wearing a paper hat, but because you aren't going to make it if you don't love what you're doing. If you're enthusiastic about it, you know, go find a different job. But if you can find the type of story that really gets you feeling like a 9-year-old around Christmas time, then stick with it, because that is truly the final component of a great story. So, to sum up, I'll say plot, characterization, prose, and enthusiasm. And then you can write books that are like this thick. First Maldine novel, 330,000 words. Ask around, that's a lot. My first one took me 9 months because I was basically busy teaching myself. The last Maldine novel, Maldine 13, 575,000 words. That's just shy of War and Peace. That took me 4 months, and that's include editing. So if you have the four elements, if you have the enthusiasm, then you can do it. You can write miracles. Bye.